God Does Like Ugly at his best sounds like a project from an extremely gifted MC who showcases these gifts while walking you down the path of understanding the story behind this ugly thing he's attained, called fame and fortune. At its worst, though, it often is, well, a project that gets you lost in JID's gifts and skills, and it may have you ignoring the stories he was attempting to tell. What's up? I'm HQK. This is HQ Theory. This is how I do my album reviews. I don't necessarily go by score. I just show you what I love, like, what I think is okay, and records that I go, why is this here, right? So we're not going to particularly go in order of the records. Let's start off with the records that I do love. One of the records that I love is track number 2, Glory. Now, what I will say about Glory is I appreciate the tempo, vibe, and attempt by JID here to give you a piece of him. One of the things I kind of say about JID a lot is that I'm sure it's not entirely his fault, but it might be because of the gift that he has. If you don't listen attentively, you may miss the story. You may miss the message and just be in awe with his skills. On a record like Glory, though, not necessarily. It seems very coded with religious undertones. So you might need a little bit of ability, right, to be able to spot those things. But there are other times where, again, he goes into the skills, right? Playing Crime Mob, he a child of the corn. I think about the horror movie, maybe another double entendre there. Obviously, we know Crime Mob, Knuck If You Buck, but then I think about Mace and Caminum, Children of the Corn. And it's just the little things that JID does that makes me go, man, JID is a fool. He's the illest, right? But then he talks about his past history, with, I guess, stealing cars to Christianity, and then you go, from car theft to Christianity, it's just prison reform or Cold World, and that's a play on words with Silent Dreamville, you know what I'm saying, Cold World, and I really just appreciate that record. Another record that I love, and this kind of feels like we're going in order, but we're really not, is Community. Now, one thing I will say about Community, JID himself doesn't immediately stand out, in my opinion, when he first starts off, though he does set the tone about his community upbringing in his own way, right? And when he does the apartments sort of scheme there. But then when he switches it up and switches it to a more demanding chant-like flow, and he goes, good Lord, I don't care about no industry beef. What about when Tay was dead in the streets? That's what JID can do, and he can do that really well when he just kind of gets a little bit away from being super technical. You hear that pierces through the headphone. It leads me to think about the interview that he just did over there, I believe with Capital Extra, when they asked him about, maybe competing in hip hop and beefing hip hop. And JID was like, yeah, it's probably for me, it would have to be real, right? Like, I would rather get on songs and see who has the better verse. But if I'm going to beef with you, it's got to be for real. Now, the transition about JID, I guess, in this journey, in this ugly journey of chasing and attaining fame and fortune, he talks about going up to Virginia. And who better to tell us about the talents in Virginia and what it's like to go and live in Virginia, right? Then Clips, then Pusha T, and Malice, or No Malice if you want to call him that. But anyway, the pass off of the mic to Pusha T was so beautiful, right? When JID says, maybe there's something I'm missing. And then Push comes in almost in this veteran-like way, or maybe because Pusha studied Biggie. It's not that I don't think Pusha can be technically sound as well, kind of like JID is, but obviously JID does a lot of different things well, triple time flows and stuff like that. But he does not let his technical ability get in the way of the story. Like, that's kind of the difference between someone that's almost 50-something years old doing this versus, a JID who's in his 30s now, but is still, in today's hip-hop, figuring out exactly how to deliver this message. Pusha goes from witty lines like simplify to simplify, and like I just said, right? Pusha is here to simplify and just give you the story of growing up in those communities in Virginia, right? So now he's telling you about the communities. He has some witty lines in there. But then his brother, Malice, who's older, comes in even literally more mature, right? Like, and then more mature than both Pusha and JID. And he comes in and gives it to you raw and uncut. pause if necessary, raw and uncut, right? He says things like, my ghetto's not your culture. Some with Jesus Shuttleworth, some were Nasir Jones, like just stuff like that. You know, it's like some people was destined to hoop, some people were destined to rap. My guys will mob deep. The fittest gonna survive here, right? Like it's knowing in such a veteran way of how to still do the punchlines and still do the witty stuff, but making sure you don't sacrifice the message and the message pierces through the listener's ears by any means necessary. Another record I love, track number 7, Skate. Now, I know a lot of y'all online, this has been a popular one. I saw Lloyd Banks today posted Skate is the one. Okay. All right, Banks. I didn't know a record like this was going to have you guys going crazy, but it does almost sound like a hit in a way, in its own way. Now, the thing about Skate, at first I was going to put it at like, but then I was like, nah, you're cheating yourself out. I love this record. I just love it. I just like it. I'm guilty as charged. Now, I did get lost a little bit, right? But not necessarily because of JID's technical ability, right? Like, I know they were telling a sort of story in a way of being in the skating rink and things like that and things that go down. But for me, I just got lost in the sauce of the composition of the song, right? And I get it. Like, I could still relate to it. Once I played it back a few times, I know what it's like when you're young, you know what I'm saying? You out in the skating rink. Shout out to my people in Jersey that know the spots. And there was a little violence over there, you know what I'm saying? Got some of those skating rinks shut down. But anyway, I'm sorry. The record made me want to move like Gilly was moving in Sierra's video way back when. I know that wasn't really Gilly, but you get my point. And was that even Sierra's video? Anyway, move on. So another thing we do is we see the trendy, like, sort of dance sounds here becoming a little more prevalent in hip hop, right? Dance, house music, things like that. You know, obviously, you know, Nokia was a record that was popping in the streets. Ring Ring by Tyler, the Creator, another record. Butterflies with Metro Boomin. So really good stuff here. Earth Gang, also good compliments to this record. Their voice just sounds really great on this record. Sierra's Bridge really kind of lands the point home here. They were saying some stuff that I think is probably Atlanta based that I can't relate to, but I'll let some of y'all people that's from Atlanta get to that. Another record that I love. Now, mind you, we got a 15-track project here, and I've got about 5 records that I love, and trust me, for HQ Theory, that's about a good score. So number 12 on McAfee. Oh man, we are so back because on McAfee comes after a bunch of slower records that I think JID was trying to dab into relationship talk and things like that. But Baby Kia came in with some energy. And, you know, JID talks about that rough climb again. And I don't know if it was a play on McAfee Street or something like that may exist where he's from, or the antivirus program McAfee. But you guys let me know. But that record is just a heater. The energy is there. It's a banger. You know what I'm saying? Another record that I love, track number 15, the outro, 4 Keeps. Now, to me, 4 Keeps is JID's best attempt at being clear and candid, and it makes sense that it's the outro, but I wouldn't even be shocked if this ended up being the intro. Now, it could have been one or the other. Now, here's the thing about 4 Keeps, though. I'm listening to a lot of interviews that JID is doing on this press run for this album, and he's being mad candid. So I'm guessing this is the most candid he could be in his music. Like, I could be asking for more, right? I could say, do it clearer, do it in a way where I don't get lost. But it's probably the best he can do with what he has right now. But on that intro, boy, he sure does get it right. He's reflecting here, and it's so refreshing. Now, he's not also worried about using his super technical abilities here. That's another thing that I appreciate. Like, I use the analogy that, you know, if a basketball player knew how to dribble and had the greatest handles in the world, sometimes it's hard for them to slow it down and go north to south instead of east and west and just get to the basket. I think JID really does that here, right? Like, he talks about, you know, how he got here, you know, how he would drop on SoundCloud and he was just happy to get 10 clicks on a track, you know what I'm saying? And then, like, there was also that little bit where he was like, in the background, like, nah, bro, I'm not part of Earth Gang. I'm not gonna hold y'all. There was like a time for half a millisecond, just a millisecond, where I thought JID was probably part of Earth Gang. The Earth Gang thing was a little confusing to me. But anyway, and then he kind of poses the questions to his child. And now we know JID got a kid. I don't know if it's another one and he always had one, or he got two. I don't know. But this is the part where I will critique a little bit, is because I feel like JID could have probably made this longer, maybe like even like a 7-minute record. I'm not even kidding. Where he could have touched on a lot more stuff using this style. I know he did it on the project, but using this style, the style that of rapping that he used on Four Keeps, again, goes back to my basketball analogy, bro. It just feels like he was going north to south. He was getting a point across. There was no sort of, getting distracted with another lyrical technical. So, and it's not that I don't like that stuff from JID. I do, but I was like, on here, you did it. You were very candid. You really got the point across. Now, let's get to some records that I liked. Track number 1, YouUgly. Now, for some of y'all, this is probably on love. For me, I like it. I like Westside Gunn doing his best Kanye West impression. That's what I got out of that. Now, obviously, if you listen to Westside Gunn, you're going to be like, nah, HQ. Nah, that's just Westside Gunn. Westside Gunn, he talked that fly shit. Hey, yo. That's my Westside Gunn impression. But anyway, I like that. Like, to me, I got I got like Kanye energy. Like, if you turned that up, whatever Westside Gunn was saying, that background there sounded like it was going to be very, very insulting. Now, another thing that I will say about this record, I like it. The only reason probably I didn't put it on love is because I probably would have wanted the intro for this project to be something else that sets the tone. Whereas here, it kind of is like in the middle of that candidness versus, here's JID again doing some lyrical super dexterical shit, right? And that's what I said with the Lax record that I love, right? On the outro. So, but anyway, what I will say about this is, though, there were some other things that I liked when, JID pointed out fans argue about record sales like they exact themselves. I love that, brother. A lot more artists need to call that out, because while I do think numbers can be useful, y'all know my saying, numbers aren't the only thing, but they do tell a story. Numbers aren't everything. They do tell a story. But when we got 16-year-old Jimmy over there sitting there, and he's super invested in first week numbers and don't give a damn about, the underground MCs, and he's supposed to be the one teaching me about the new music coming out. He doesn't care because he's only worried about, the J. Cole, Drake, Kendrick sell 250 first week. A bit annoying. But anyway, I like also, if we're not getting like candid personal stuff on YouUgly, the first record, I just like the candid, let me put my foot down. That I do like, you know what I'm saying? Took a ceiling challenge to show that I'm above my peers. And he's talking about the surround sound joint. Remember when that went viral? And talk your shit, JID, because, for a lot of us, I'm not going to exclude myself. You know what I'm saying? A lot of us will forget an MC like JID is right there. When a trend go off, we're like, oh, this song's cool. Then you start playing that song, and then you go ahead and JID is pretty good. Like, what's going on in this day and age? Yeah, can an artist do more on promo? Maybe, but we're too reliant on trends, man. So talk your shit. But anyway, second part of that record, he comes in bars, you know what I'm saying? I think the intro actually is more descriptive of what I told you at the beginning about the project, right? It's like, because in that second part of YouUgly is just comes in as JID doing JID things, you know what I'm saying? Catching phases like Jamar Chase. Hop out the car, turn to Carl Lewis. If you caught the bar, you would understand why I do this. If you only knew me when I was Lil Root. And I was like, what are you talking about? Okay, JID used to play football. His last name is it Root or Route? You say tomato, I say tomato. Carl Lewis, so he used to run. That's a low-key a triple. Y'all go check that out again. Go look at that scheme where he says he hop out the car like Carl Lewis, and then says, you would understand why. If you caught the ball, you would understand why I do this. If you only knew me and I was a little route, I felt like there was like a triple there, but that's a breakdown for another day. Now, a few other records that I liked. Number 5 was G's, you know what I'm saying? Number 5 record there. Now, if you're not careful, this is what I'm talking about again. You will get lost in JID's lyrical ability, but also, you also get lost with the sounds and the beat knocking, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like G's is kind of like an extension of what comes out of these communities, right? So I believe right after community is G's. And so that's kind of how I read that. You know what I'm saying? With JID saying lines like, you know how Black lives don't matter. We see the data and a patent apply. So that's another record I like. Another record I like, VCRs. Now, I think this record features Vince Staples. I think JID is describing some sort of relationship, maybe with fame or the devil, but there are many references to the six and saying it's not the devil, but to Atlanta. Now, remember, I told you there was some religious undertones here. So I'm gonna say it's a relationship with fame itself, or like the journey of it. And then there was a nice witty line. The plot twist is ninjas made it out of the six. I thought that was witty because, you know, Drake got that plot twist stuff going on, but the six, Atlanta's on six, but the six, Toronto. So this is what I mean, right? Like, yo, JID, like, he's talking real shit, but you'll get lost in the sauce of like the lyricism and the technical ability if you're not careful. Now, Vince Staples does come in, add in some context. So I think he does, for me, cement that this whole dialogue is about their relationship with fame and more so the journey to fame. And JID comes back and he's talking about battling demons, addiction, and adversity. And this is just one of those records for me. Again, you know, I don't know. Obviously, JID just dropped the project. For his next few projects, until he decides that he's done with this game, I want to just tell JID, bro, people like me appreciate when you go here. And I want you to do more of it. We often talk about, you know, what's going to take JID to that next level, whatever the next level is. I mean, if you're a commercially successful rapper, it is what it is. Like you're already here, right? But I think is being able to, you know, accurately and descriptively get your message of who you are to the people. And I know sometimes people can be apprehensive giving yourself up to the world, right? But you know, so maybe JID is trying to do it his own way. But the more of this JID can do, I think the audience will really appreciate it. Another record that I liked was track 13 of Blue. The beginning of this record kind of make me feel like the sequencing, like the track was misplaced. And that's only because the beginning of this record should probably have been moved to the end, to me. But I think they were great vocals by Mariba. Am I saying that name right? And that kind of feels like an outro. But I really like that part when JID starts rapping, right? And when he starts rapping, to me, the part where he's rapping could have easily followed on McAfee, right? Especially the kick up. And he gets some points across. And you know, to the people that want to say like JID sounds like Dot, like K Dot, yeah, this is one of those records. I'll give it to you. Like, whatever. We all get influenced by people. This one is a fair call. You know, I don't know if you spotted on other records on the project, but this one is it sounds like early K Dot, almost Section 80 K Dot, Kendrick Lamar. And, you know, I'll need to re-listen and stuff. But now on this record, though, of Blue, I do hear a guy who's trying to now accept this beautiful, ugly thing that is life, with the fame that he has and with the struggles that come with it and the darkness that comes with it. And mind you, this is all the things that he wanted, by the way, right? So fitting, that's about track 13. You know, you're getting closer to the end of the album. So it sounds like it's some kind of resolution. Now let's talk about records that I thought were okay. I'm going to catch some heat for this one. A lot of y'all JID fans and just rap fans, period, did not like Work. I'm not going to put Work on a Y section. I'm going to put it as okay, because at the end of the day, it's still a good beat and it's good rhyming. As a standalone single, I get why some of y'all on the other app told me you didn't like it. Okay, whatever. It really sounds like alone, right? For some of y'all. For me, it sounds okay. But I think hearing it on the album, I actually understand it a little more now. Like, it's like after Glory comes on, it's explaining why JID does this, right? And sometimes, yeah, he does veer off to lyrical dexterity, but I now understand the purpose of this record, especially it being track 3. So I'm not really tripping. I think that record is okay. What We On is kind of an abrupt slowdown. That's another record I think it's okay, track 8. I do like the beat but the lyrics and the concept, it's kind of like, okay, what's happening here? But I know that this is one of those records. When I'm listening to it, like album wise, there's gonna be a clash. But I know a lot of y'all just listen to it separately, and that's the age we're in nowadays, right? People listen to records playlist style, like it's like separately. You're probably gonna love this record, like this record, but for me, it's like, okay, like what's happening here? It's cool, it's slow, and then I get like it's released after the the skating rink, like so. I get it. It's like an extension of what happens after the skating rink. Remember, I told you with that whole story with skate, and then you meet a woman like in like an after party vibe type of vibes at the parking lot post. You know what I'm saying? Parking lot pimping. I get it, and it kind of helps to get into that girl record vibes and things like that. So it's cool. It's okay. Track number 11, the interlude, and we vibe in interlude. To me, that should have been right after skate. But what do I know? It's cool. It's an interlude, right? And number 14 is the K word. I put this at okay. I'm really contemplating. I'm really contemplating moving it up because I hate this word when people do album reviews because conceptually, it connects to Of Blue. It's really a religious theme with like Pastor Troy in the outro. But the thing is, JID himself at the beginning, again, it's another beginning thing. I don't like the pocket that he's in, all right? That switch up, though, on the verse, that's what's making me want to, like, I should move this to like. You know what I'm saying? And the switch up is like, it's kind of there. And then the concept, like questioning karma. I got a feeling bro don't like karma. You know what I'm saying? And the concept of battling, not necessarily battling karma, but questioning karma is like, it's a nice, easy way out to not question God. But he's like, he got lots of stuff to say about karma. But at a certain point, it sounds like he's used to it and accepting that it's just part of life. And it just means that accepting karma is a thing that exists, you know what I mean, without necessarily being a force of God or the devil. Now, Jessie Reyes at the outro says something in Spanish that I had to go translate. She says, look, Poppy, Daddy, whatever. I'm not saying that. But he says, look, did you forget what I told you or something? There's nothing hidden between heaven and earth. Watch out for revenge. You don't have to go collect from the world. Let God take care of everything. Have faith. God takes care of everything. Did you hear me? So I don't know if that translated that as correct as I should. Don't blame me. Blame Google Translate. But I think it gives me, the summarization of what I needed. And that outro pretty much summarizes what I thought the song was about, right? Like, it's this person that's like got a lot of questions about what karma is, the K word, and is it all fair? And then you're overthinking, and it's like Jessie Reyes is like, yo, you forget what I told you? There's nothing hidden between heaven and earth. You know what I'm saying? Watch out for like being vengeful. You don't have to go collect from everyone in the world. Just let God take care of everything. Have faith. God takes care of everything, right? Now, the tracks don't know why okay, so Wholeheartedly, I get it. From track 8, 9, 10 or so, like we're in JID relationship talk. Like I get it. It's just very slow for me, and I'm not quite sure if that fits his style. I'm not saying JID don't have the voice for it. It's just like I was trying to figure out what we were doing here and what the purpose of that was. But I guess, your relationship with the opposite sex is a big part of this, beautiful, ugly story that you're telling, right? About fame, fortune, and becoming, who you are. But I think the biggest issue is probably not how I like to consume JID's music. But I get it. A lot of y'all like people like Black and stuff like that. Jessie Reyes, like, you'll probably like these records. The why for me is like, it's more about the sequencing. Like, I just think there was probably a better way that would have made HQ happy, the way these records were sequenced. But I'm probably complaining too much. I can just say, hey, I don't like the record that much. That's okay. Number 10, No Boo. It's really the same thing as Wholeheartedly. It's like, I get the play on words, by the way, no boo. But I get it. But shout out to Jessie Reyes because it's nice vocals. But it's kind of like the same thing. It's probably just very slow for me. It's not how I like to consume JID's music. I contemplate in moving and we vibing down to Y, but I was like, dude, it's an interlude. It makes, it helps. I probably would. That's what I would have done. I would have rearranged a lot of those slow songs and shifted it up. And that's part of album release, and that's part of making an album. Is you got to understand and know how to sequence these things. But overall, I really enjoyed this project. I think that for someone who is a veteran to be saying that, oh, JID is figuring something out here, he is figuring something out here. As someone that's really talented, really skilled, and has all these gifted abilities, right, on the microphone to be able to try to get messages across to the audience. And he's done it before. The Forever Story is another good example, but he's really, 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 sort of tapping into things that would take him to being the next level MC that people have, very close-knit attachments to. And a lot of people wanted this to happen early, but I think, hip-hop is kind of like having delayed growth right now. It's kind of, hip-hop goes where where the world goes. A lot of people are developing really late in life. The cards were stacked up against us. A bit odd, right? So not everybody's buying a house at 30. So yeah, I know a lot of y'all expected JID to be hitting his strides, 3-4 years ago, but he finally is hitting them now. And I believe going forward, I really do believe JID will start, really opening a lot of people's eyes as that MC. He, has been doing a lot of interviews now that has shown me that he clearly understands what's going on. Even just something as simple as him saying like, yo, I didn't put Cole on this project. We didn't get to it. You know what I'm saying? I want to set the tone for who JID is. And I finally feel like I'm getting to that. Hey, I got like 15 records ready with Cole. We might even do a joint album. You got to hold your fingers when people say that. But that type of stuff that I'm hearing from JID lets me know that he's aware of his development. And, don't look at someone like JID who's now in their 30s and go, oh my God, it's too late. No. People are rapping till 50 now, as you can see with the clips. So he probably got another, 3, 4, 5 more albums that he's going to be able to display a great ability to slow things down, make cohesive, concise projects. So JID, appreciate this work, brother. Thank you so much. HQ out.